roll.
Well, just a moment. I just want to make sure if you're pulling an item, they get 5 minutes or they get 2. Because I have to time these and I have to know what people are getting.
Council?
Well, if you're pulling an item, like I know that we've got people that are speaking on some of the ordinance issues, they should be allowed their 5 minutes, just like the speaker that is signed up to speak on different issues. I mean, these are, they couldn't sign up for it. There's no opportunity. The mayor will ask them, would anybody like to speak? And they should be able to be given their 5 minutes. Anybody after that is the 2 minutes.
Okay, I get it. So the first speaker gets 5.
Is everybody okay with that?
Well,
Okay.
that's fine. I just know there's going to be people that want to speak on non-consent agenda items.
Yeah.
And we need to be consistent, as Josh pointed out, as we've always been consistent, that we're going to allow them also to speak the 5 minutes. And if there's 10 speakers to speak the 5 minutes on a non-consent item, then there's 10 speakers to speak on a non-consent agenda item. They just don't get all the speakers to speak in 5 minutes. Okay, let's move on.
All right, I'll open the meeting and let people in.
All right, is everybody in?
It is open. Yes.
All right. Want to welcome everybody to our August 3rd meeting for the Municipal Housing Agency Governing Board. Welcome, and let's go ahead and I'll ask clerk to please take roll of the board.
County,
Here.
Bozen,
Here.
Boss,
Here.
Gray,
Here.
Westergaard,
Here.
Mandelbaum,
Here.
Gatto.
Here.
Your Honor, we have a quorum.
All right, let's move ahead to item 2. We're going to roll the item 2 in the agenda is approving the agenda as presented and or as amended. Could we have a motion? It's been moved. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposition? It's unanimous. Item 3 is submittal of the Family Self-Sufficient Program Coordinator's Grant application to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. This is the board communication number 20-326. Let's go ahead and open it up. Does anybody have any comments on this submittal?
I hear none, Your Honor. I'll move it.
All right, the item has been moved. Any discussion? Hearing none. Clerk, would you pull the board, please?
County,
Yes.
Bozen,
Yes.
Boss,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Westergaard,
Yes.
Mandelbaum,
Yes.
Gatto.
Yes.
Your Honor, that's 7-0. Motion carries.
All right, thank you. Let's move ahead. The last item is could we get a motion to adjourn the Municipal Housing Agency Governing Board meeting?
I'll move.
It's been moved. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, the Municipal Housing Agency Governing Board sits adjourned. Let's move into the our city council meeting. Prior to the meeting, I'd just like to note, and I know there's a couple of people that probably would have a couple things to say, but Over the weekend, one of our longtime city council members, Tom Velasquez, passed away. And he was a longtime member of the city council. And I will tell you from my perspective, up in Ward 1, he was the absolute guy for public safety. He moved it forward in every way. He wanted the sidewalks right. He wanted the stop signs right. He wanted the children safe getting to and from school. And I've got to tell you, we put a lot of stop signs up at the request of Tom Velasquez. And but I got to tell you, his heart was there, and he was a great guy, and he served on the city council. Was there from 1988 to 2010. So what a service he had to the citizens of the city of Des Moines. We have another former city council member on with us now, Chris Coleman, and I know Chris was a good friend of Tom's. And Chris, I'd like you to say a couple of words.
Thank you, Mayor. It's a high honor of mine because I was lucky to have a special relationship with Tom. He called on me to get involved in public service like he did so many people around him. And that was a real blessing for me to have so many good things happen in my life because of what he enabled and started for me. I served with him for about 10 years. There's a couple of things that a lot of citizens may not know about Tom that I wanted to just quickly highlight. I know you have a busy night, but he was one of the most significant architects of our neighborhood association system now. And he took such pride in attending meetings. You know, some politicians talk about this being constituent services, a little side aspect of their job. But for Tom, that's all he did. He loved leaving meetings with lists, and he viewed his job as getting stuff done for the people who elected him. And he did a great job of that. He loved the neighborhood associations. He wanted that everybody in his ward lived in a neighborhood association. And up until his last year, he was helping to create neighborhood associations. And Tom was a national leader too. A lot of people don't know this, but he's one of the longest serving members of the National League of Cities. And he went around America and the world representing Des Moines on committees and commissions. And a lot of the top honors that we get today are from the seeds that the mayor, laid as a member of the National Mayors Group, but also of Tom Velasquez informing and getting recognition for Des Moines. Tom was a champion of the underdog. He never stopped fighting for his poor neighborhoods, for the nonprofit on a shoestring budget. And over time, he changed a lot too. He was the deciding vote to give landmark discrimination protection based on sexual orientation, probably something that early in his life he thought he'd never do. But he was not afraid to change, and he continued to fight for civil and human rights. He had friends and confidants of the leadership of most communities, Black, Hispanic, Bosnian, and especially the Thai Dam community, where he personally made sure they had a home for their cultural village in his ward, in fact, in his own neighborhood. He had special friends from all across the globe, and in fact, talked a lot about the love he had for he and Sophie's adopted daughter. Tom was a person on top of a councilman, and of course, his relationship with Sophie is historic. He was a gentleman to her, the kind of husband that we all hope others describe us as. He was her strength when her lupus required her to lean on others. And most importantly, they laughed together, and it was clear that everybody wanted to be around them. Tom was very proud of his heritage. Most people know he was Greek. He invited the whole dang city to the Greek Food Festival every year and gave hundreds of tickets away just so we could experience a little of the hospitality and the delicious culture. And he was proud to be a pharmacist. He talked a lot about it at the city council. He took his role seriously and used it to help others. He was never made to be part of a national chain. He liked working his own counter with his own customers. And that was a customer base that grew and grew and grew as they experienced Tom's wisdom and care. Tom was a good friend to so many. He was the first one in line to help and the last one that was still checking on you after you got sick or had a surgery. He could tell a joke and he could make everyone up and down the bar laugh and smile. I did smile when I read the article this weekend in the paper. He deserved a nice tribute. It closes with a quote of Tom's that if he was here, he'd probably stand by. He said he was dumb but honest. Tom, I don't think you were dumb. After working hand in hand with him for decades, he wasn't dumb. He was human. He was so much human wrapped up in this small body: energy, passion, kindness, hospitality, and yes, sometimes a mistake. But that's not dumb. That's just human. Tom Velasquez was honest. You can take his word to the bank. He was always honest with us and everyone. Well, unless it was a joke at the bars at Christopher's or Cooney's. Tom, we thank you for your service and we love you.
Chris, thank you so much. Bill, do you want to throw in a quick comment? You were close to Tom as well.
Oh, you're absolutely right. I wouldn't be in this position now if it weren't for Tom and Sophie. They looked at the service that actually Chris put me on in the Board of Adjustment and said that I could take the next step and they would support me. And that meant an awful lot to me. We'd spend our Saturday afternoons, like Chris said, down at Cooney's. We would discuss everything under the sun. And he was probably one of the most humorous guys I've ever had a chance to talk to. I'd also have to be his PC repairman. I'd have to go over there and he got something all bungled up and I'd have to go over there and straighten it out. I did see Tom 3 weeks ago. That was the last time I saw him. And, other than a walker, the guy had a heart of gold. And I'll leave you with one last comment. This was always the funniest thing I always said. Tom and I were talking one time and I mentioned something about getting ready for my wedding anniversary. Tom goes, "Oh, when's that coming up?" And I said, "May." He goes, "Well, that's interesting. So's mine." He says, "What day?" I said, "The 1st." He goes, "Well, that's interesting. So's mine." "What year?" 1976. Bingo. We were married on the same day back in 1976. And ever since that discussion, Tom and I and Ann and Sophie would spend our dinners for our anniversaries. Usually Christopher's, one of his favorites, where Chef's Kitchen was around, but they were just magnificent people. So there's a hole in my life now that Tom is gone. I'll never forget all the things he's done for me and for our community. And I feel very fortunate to call him a friend. Thank you, Mayor.
You bet. Just one last thing I will say to add to it. He didn't give up till he took his last breath. I will tell you that he called me about 10 days ago, and maybe it's about 2 weeks, I guess. And we had a long conversation about COVID. And as Chris pointed out, he, was in the healthcare business. He watched how treatments went and how healthcare has evolved and his thoughts around it and sources and vectors and how we protect ourselves and our families. He was really engaged, right to the end. And to everybody's comment, he cared about everybody and was always trying to look out for their best interests. So, Tom, we're going to miss you, and rest your soul. Let's all take a quick partial minute of silence for Tom Velasquez. Thank you all. Tom, rest in peace. Before we start our regular meeting, last Friday, I updated our emergency proclamation regarding the COVID and the circumstances we're in. We had a state of emergency that we declared on March 15th and have updated it now actually 3 times. And as we have seen it kind of pop up and down and listen to the concerns of the healthcare world, looking for positivity rates. I've heard around this country and around the world at 3 to 5% as people start thinking about what's manageable and how it is that we keep it tapped down. We thought that we were headed hopefully in the right direction a month or more ago when the 7% range, and then it kind of went to 8. And then we thought maybe it was sliding back down a little bit over the last few days. That positivity rating has moved to heading towards 10%. That's very, very concerning. And so we expanded our proclamation and we started out with farmers markets and some of those other large gatherings on our public spaces. And now we're going to expand that to including, neighborhood events, outdoor recreation, and a number of those things, and make sure that they are doing the right thing to have social distancing. On the larger events, block parties and such, we want them to be 250 people or less. And whether that's a race or whatever, and I throw those numbers out because we've had some events proposed that whether it be Ironman or some of these other large events that we celebrate and always look forward to, they have 1,800 participants, and those kinds of events are real vectors for transmission in the middle of a pandemic. So we are looking to control those. And we also, I urgently asked all of our citizens in the city of Des Moines to wear face coverings, such as a mask, a surgical mask, a plastic shield, any kind of similar coverings that covers the nose and the mouth in public spaces, quite frankly, in some specific circumstances. We said that anytime somebody's outside of their residence, the personal dwelling, and unable to stay at least 6 feet apart from other people, you ought to have a covering on. When you're inside any public space, whether that be a retail store, or a restaurant, or a bar, or whatever, you should have respect for your family, yourself, and those around you, and try to, when you can, separate yourself and keep face coverings when you cannot. And when you're in other settings, not in your residence or your dwelling with people that you don't live with, have respect for them, and let's hope they have for you. And when you're using public transportation, and it is so important, whether you're on a DART bus or you're in a cab or a private car or a ride share, carpooling, wear a mask, protect yourself, protect your family, protect your friends, protect your associates at work. It's all of us working together. This thing is not just going to magically go away. We want everybody to understand that, and the risks are continuing. And it is clear that we have to be more diligent and disciplined than ever to combat this most challenging medical emergency of our lifetime. So the scientific evidence has been very clear that we need to wear a mask. It's the best way to hopefully protect ourselves, try to keep some of the businesses open, as many as possible, but we need to reduce the spread and save lives, and that's the best solution to the problem. So I just wanted to say that before we start our regular council meeting. I think it's very important, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to push that message out yet once again. Let's go ahead and start the city council meeting. And I would ask that we call it to order. And I will ask the clerk to take roll, please.
County,
Here.
Boson,
Here.
Boss,
Here.
Gray,
Here.
Westergaard,
Here.
Mandelbaum,
Here.
Gatto.
Here.
Your Honor, we have a quorum.
All right. I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the agenda as presented and or as amended.
I'll move approval.
All right, the agenda has been approved. I will also, although they're in the rules, I want everybody to know that, it's a little different than being in City Hall, but we're trying to do our best to accommodate people that have questions or ideas on agenda items, and we will try to recognize you to speak on those. We will allow those that have registered specifically. If they put an item on, they get 5 minutes. And if council, if I believe that generally the people that would like to make a comment, we had it at 1 minute in the past, but I have heard in our conversation that maybe we ought to push that to 2 to those that will, but I would like to hear sort of an affirmative on that. Is 2 minutes? Anybody object to that?
No, I think that's good, Your Honor.
Okay, so that's what we're going to observe to those.
But, Your Honor, Mr. Mayor, I just
Yes.
want to make sure that we are treating folks who come to speak on all agenda items the same. So if we're going to have a restrictive rule like that, that it be applied equally across the board. And I would also be okay with a longer time, but I understand that we need to keep things moving.
All right. And we'll also say that these items generally aren't debate. We want input to put it into the record and often referred on to city staff to further look it out or flesh it out. So speakers will be allowed on an item to speak once. And that's how we'll handle it, and that's how generally we handle it when we're in city council chambers as well. So the next item is to approve the consent agenda tonight. Those are items 3 through 34. And I will also say that on the, could you put that screen back up
Yeah.
for me, please?
Yep.
So for those of you, item 4BB has been withdrawn by the applicant. Item 16 is deleted. Item 16 was relocated on the agenda, is now 22I per request. 22I was the relocated 16. 28 was added. It's directing the advertisement for the sale of 95,910,000 general obligation bond series 2020D. Item 28I was added as directing the advertisement of sale of 5,090,000 taxable GO bond series 2020E. And 28II was added. It's directing the advertisement for the sale of $22,485,000 worth of stormwater utility revenue bonds against Series 2020F. Regular agenda items are 35 to 67, and 36 was withdrawn. Proposed ordinance was pulled by our city engineer. Are there any other items that any of the council members would like to?
Your Honor, I need to pull 4A.
4A.
And
Any
Your
other?
Honor, Your Honor, I'd like to pull item 30C.
30C. Mandelbaum. Okay.
And please add that Gray and Westergaard want to speak in regard to 38II.
38II. Gray and Westergaard.
And Mr. Mayor, I just want to make it clear, people that have signed up get their 5 minutes. But when we talk about our city business, like item number 35, which is a very important topic that affects a lot of people, that speaker would be able to take the 5 minutes to speak. That's affording them the same courtesy as somebody who has signed up to speak.
Okay. All right. Any other items? Do you see any hands up, Madam Clerk? On the consent. Again, these are items 3 through 34.
I'll move item 3, Your Honor.
3 through 34?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Item 3 through 34 have been moved. I'd ask the clerk to please poll the council.
County,
Yes.
Boson,
Yes.
Boss,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Westergaard,
Yes,
Mandelbaum,
Yes.
Gatto.
Yes.
Your Honor, that's 7 yes, motion carries.
All right. That takes us to item 4A. 4 is approving the alcoholic beverage license applications for the following, and A is Club 525, which is at 525 East Grand Avenue. They've applied for a C liquor license. Councilmember Gatto.
Mayor, thank you. I would like to move to continue this item for 2 weeks. We've had a number of complaints, and I think that our staff needs to take a look at it. So I will move to continue 4A.
All right, and refer to city legal and city staff for a report back.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Any other comment, anybody? Hearing none, would you poll the council, please?
County,
Yes.
Boson,
Yes.
Boss,
Yes.
Gray,
Yes.
Westergaard,
yes,
Mandelbaum,
Yes.
Gatto.
Yes.
Your Honor, that's 7 yes, motion carries.
Okay, that takes us to item 30C. 30 is a purchases from the following. C is Keisler Police Supply, Inc. Doug Keisler is the Chief Executive Officer for ammunition for training and duty purposes per the state of Iowa master agreement for use by the police department. Councilmember Mandelbaum.
So I don't know how we want to handle this. I had several questions that I got in late, so I was not able to get answers to those questions prior to the meeting. I'd like to get the answers, and we could either try and do that during the meeting, or if not, I'd be happy to continue this.
What kind of answers you need, Josh? It's pretty straightforward.
Well, I guess the questions that I had, I wanted to understand is this funding only for ammunition, or does it also include training dollars? I wanted to know the quantity of ammunition being purchased. I wanted to know whether the ammunition being purchased only included the quantities necessary for training, or if we purchased range ammunition for officers to use more generally with the funding. And if we purchase additional ammunition beyond just for training, what's the criteria for using it? The broader point being, if we're going to spend dollars above and beyond what is necessary for certification, which I think is important, right? We want to make sure our officers are trained and certified. But then above and beyond that is essentially providing a signal in terms of what type of training we want to emphasize more. And there I've got questions about that. So that's why I was hoping to get these answered and understand this a little better.
Okay.
Well, we obviously want our officers to be trained correctly, and I believe this is what this purchase is about. We've done this for many, many years. They need to be trained correctly with their ammunition so they're safely out on the street. So I will move 30C.
All right, 30C has been moved. The only thing I would say, Josh, is that you probably are aware that like in 2017, we had over $207,000 on this, and this is for less than half of that. It's $99,000. So we have substantially reduced these numbers as time has gone along, because certainly we don't want money wasted or overspent in areas. It is critical for the training, and we certainly want people who are in charge of essential weapons to be well trained and managed. And I think that our chief has done a pretty good job in this area, at least making sure that they're using the money wisely, and has moved forward and has really cut that budget dramatically. But at any rate, we've got a motion on the table. Anybody else have any comments? I appreciate you bringing it up, Josh.
Well, I think Matt Anderson had his hand raised and was maybe going to try and answer the questions that I had.
Okay, Matt?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, well, you're a little bit muffled, but we can hear you.
This is Matt Anderson, city manager, acting city manager. To Josh's, Councilman Mandelbaum's 3 specific questions, I do have answers to those. I apologize, we did not have time to get those out to you before the meeting, but I'll repeat the question and give the answer. The first question was, is this only for ammunition, or does it also include training funding dollars? And the answer is that it is only for the purchase of ammunition. The second question is, what is the quantity of ammunition being purchased? And the response is 396,000 rounds to include various brands and calibers for use in both handguns and rifles. And the third question was, does the ammunition being purchased only include the quantities necessary for training, or do we purchase range munitions for officers to use more generally with this funding? And if we purchase additional ammunition beyond training, what is their criteria for using it? The response is that the ammunition is purchased to supply officers while on duty and for training administered by the Firearms Training Committee with the approval of the Chief of Police. So those were the answers provided to me that we did not, unfortunately, have time to get out to you via email. And Chief Wingert, I believe, is on the call if you have any more specific questions of the police department.
Chief, any comment? Councilmember Bozen.
First off, I had a text. People are trying to raise their hand, but they're not able to. So that's just a point of order. The other thing is, having purchased ammunition for the when I worked at the county, what is the time lag now? Does anybody know on, which you might not know? Because I know at one point it took over a year to get ammunition. So sometimes quantities are determined because of how long it takes to get the ammunition. But I think those are valid questions to ask. What are we using them for? Can we use dollars otherwise? But when I was purchasing at the county, it was like they were a year out before you even got delivery. So that might be some of the context of the quantity.
Okay, is the chief on? Okay.
Yeah, he is. Just a moment.
And then if we could figure out a way, because I've gotten texts as well from people who are trying to speak on this particular agenda item.
Well, we're trying to finish up with council first, if that's okay with you, Josh.
Yeah, and the only way I can do that is to start the meeting over unless someone in IT can do that. So I am trying to correct it, but I'm not sure that I can on my end. So I'm working on it.
All right, but let's get the council members' questions answered first, and then let's try to pull up the attendees.
think we answered all the questions, Mayor.
Okay. We'll wait for a minute as the clerk is trying to be able to notice the attendees.
It looks like the chief's muted.
Well, I think all the attendees are too.
You aren't seeing anything different than me. Just be patient. I don't know if Dana has himself muted. I'm trying to
He's
unmute.
off. He's unmuted.
Okay, then he can speak. Dana?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, as far as the delay in the order, it varies from year to year. The reason this order comes in at this time is we're into a new budget year, and the training items, ammunition included, that we'll need throughout the year. We make sure we take care of those things as first order of business. Councilmember Bozen's right. There were years when we were 12 to 18 months out on receiving those purchases. I think we're kind of over that hump now, but this just allows us to get the order in, so we have everything we need for the training year of what's left of 2020 and 2021.
And then Connie has her hand up still.
I just have to lower it, sorry.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, this is Westergaard. Are we waiting to allow other people to speak, or are we ready to vote?
I think we're trying to see if we can get the
Okay.
attendees into the meeting and see if there's any hands up to speak on this.
Your Honor, they're all in the meeting, but for some reason they're unable to raise their hand. So if you want to have them text me, I can take it that way and cover it. But right now I cannot change it unless I stop the meeting. So if you want me to restart the meeting, then I can change it. But then everybody has to sign back in.
All right. Well, we just got the 13 of us to sign back in, right, as the panelists, and then the balance would then come back in, and we could get them, because I would like to give them a chance to
Absolutely.
comment in this meeting. So
We'll
if
have other
everybody's
issues.
okay with that, I'm okay with starting over.
Me too, because we're gonna have this issue on other items anyway going forward, if anybody wants to speak.
I agree.
All right. So let's drop off,
So
and then we'll
make sure everyone understands.
We're leaving.
We're
the
going
meeting.
to restart the meeting, and then everyone has to re-enter with their link.
Okay.
Your
And
Honor,
does that in-
Yes.
Hold on, Jeff.
Jeff, go
I
ahead.
would,
yeah,
Jeff?
I would suggest for purposes of the record, to make clear what's going on, that we have a motion to recess and reconvene as soon as the meeting can be electronically restarted, and that can be a voice vote motion.
I will move that we recess so we can reopen.
Okay. Motion is to recess and reopen. What would you say, Kay? About 3
And
minutes.
who was it that made that motion?
Connie.
Connie, okay. And let me confirm that the link will still work, so, before we recess. Apologize for the difficulties.
Yeah, I want to thank our ASL interpreter. Doing a good job.
And Mayor and Kay, is council also going to sign off and come back in?
Yes.
Okay. I wonder if it's gonna jam the lines if we're all trying at once.
Before we do it. Okay, we don't have to leave. They should be able to raise their hands now. I've got it corrected.
All right.
Good job, Kay.
Thank you.
Let's vote to reconvene. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We now sit back in open session. We have, we're working on item 30C, and I will ask the clerk to begin with our attendees, if anybody has their hand up on this item. Looks like there are 3.
There are 3. I just have to get to where they're at. There they are. Indira?
Indira, you're on.
Hello.
Sorry
Okay.
about the inconvenience on that.
I really appreciate you guys ending the meeting and taking care of that because this is a very important issue to a lot of people. So I wanted to speak on this because I saw that you guys are spending almost $100,000 on ammunition for training and duty purposes. So a lot of the conversation that you guys have been having is just about training and it's all for training, but that's not the case. It lists on the agenda training and duty purposes, as well as in the additional document. It says the ammunition is $37,000 for personnel and training and $61,000 for tactical. So the majority of this is for tactical, which would be the duty version of that training from what I understand just from reading that. I also I would like to repeat Mandelbaum's question, which I don't think I got answered, of how much ammo are we purchasing? What is like the dollar per ammo that we're doing? Which we don't really even know how much this is purchasing, but I am assuming that it's a lot. I would also like to emphasize the fact that this is an Indiana company that we're buying this ammo from. So we are literally sending our tax dollars out of our economy and out of even our to buy this police ammunition. I would also like to emphasize that, yes, while we do need police who are authorized to carry weapons to be trained in how to use those weapons, the only purpose besides that for a bullet is to kill somebody. And if we are spending $100,000 on literally weapons of murder, I think we should be a little bit more take a little bit more care in how much we're purchasing and why we're purchasing that. It is said in the document that this ammunition is being purchased for, I believe it was like the STARS program. And that is for like responding to active shooters and bomb threats, things like that. I'm wondering how many active shooters, bomb threats we have had in Des Moines where we need this level of ammunition to deal with those sorts of things. We've had people looking into this and we haven't found any stats about that. But we did find that 5 people were shot and killed by the police in the state of Iowa in 2019, and 2 of those were by DMPD. That we allocate more money for our bomb squad than we do for our Human and Civil Rights Commission, which is interesting because I honestly, I don't hear about active shooters and bombs and things like that in the city of Des Moines. And I don't know if I'm just missing things, but I really don't think that this is such a huge threat that we need to be spending this much money on it. I would also like to clarify that in 2019, DMPD cleared like only 17% of burglary cases, 42% of arsons, 27% of thefts, 32% of motor vehicle accidents, 33% of robberies. And while they did clear 75% of aggravated assaults, that's still 25% that they're not clearing. So maybe we should be focusing more on how we can be reducing these crimes and spending money on that. Since we have a lot of things that this money could go to, I'm not really sure that ammunition is a necessary spending tool for this amount of money and for the reasons that we are purchasing it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next speaker.
Andrew Hang.
Andrew, are you there?
It says I'm muted now. Oh, am I audible?
Yeah.
Great. Hi, my name's Andrew Tadgey. I live in Beaverdale. Yeah, I'd like to second some of those concerns. I am reassured to hear that, I don't know if it was the mayor or council member Mandelbaum, somebody brought up that, in the past we spent 200 or 250,000, much more in the past. And this time it's a much smaller amount. So that's great. We're shooting less. But I think it would be useful in the spirit of data transparency and efficiency and all that good stuff to see how much of the ammunition is used for training purposes and how much was used on the job during active service, during active duty. I think that would help us find the happy spot between being equipped enough to have munitions and spending more than we need. Thanks.
Next speaker.
Claudia.
Claudia.
You guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. I would also like to just follow up on what the previous speakers have said as far as wanting to better understand what the details of this purchase mean. I think it's really important for us to know what the number is on that, as far as what is being purchased for actual training, what is being purchased for active duty. I think it's also concerning that the funding for the training itself hasn't been approved. I think that's what was mentioned earlier. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the funds for the ammunition for the training is being approved. So I think there's a little bit of a disconnect there, and there definitely should be looked at what are they being trained on to use this ammunition and whether there could be other means or ways for them to handle those kinds of situations outside of having to get to the place where we're using ammunition. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next.
Hello. Hey, this is Jalen. I'll keep it brief. I just want to say I 100% do not support y'all spending all this money to buy DMPD new ammunition. I think y'all were kind of rude to Josh Mandelbaum when he was trying to ask, more clarifying questions about this. So, it is your job to inform not only him, but I guess all of us who are listening to this. So please be more thorough in your responses. You said that this is for training, but when I read it, it also said that this was going to be used to respond to civil disobedience. To me, that sounds pretty broad, and that sounds like, giving the MPD a lot of money to just crack down on folks with weapons. $100,000 is a lot of money. I think that money, if y'all want to give it to them, should just be cut from another part of the MPD's budget and just given that way. Giving $100,000 to them, especially during the time when we're in a global pandemic, especially during the time where we have folks who are more vulnerable to being evicted and more housing insecure than ever before. $100,000, that could pay for over 130 families' rent for a month if the city wanted to use it that way. But instead, we're paying for bullets to be shot at pieces of paper. Doesn't sound smart, doesn't sound wise. I do not agree with it, and I think we should not support this. Thanks.
Next speaker.
Caitlin?
Caitlin, are you on?
I don't know where she went. Just a moment. Yeah, they got promoted. One moment, I'm just about there. Payton?
Hello?
Yes.
Hi, this is Peyton. I just want to reiterate a lot of the points that were made before, saying I don't think that we need to be giving DMPD this much money or honestly any money at all. They have plenty of money in their budget that you guys have already given to them. So I would like to reiterate what Jalen said and say that if you do want to give them this money for ammunition, then take it from the budget that they already have. But also I think that this money could be better spent on other things, like Indira had said previously, in things to reduce crime in general. And also I think it's ridiculous that this money would be spent on against civil disobedience. I think that that's an insane thing to spend ammunition on. It's completely unnecessary, and it's unnecessary for them to have this amount of money towards ammunition, whether it's for training or for being used against the public. I think it's ridiculous, and I think that you guys should take more time to really think about if they need this money and what it could be better spent on. So don't vote on this today would be my 2 cents. Thank you.
Next speaker.
Jacob?
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I just want to say I was bothered by Councilmember Gatto really rushed to vote on this measure before basic answers were provided to Councilmember Mandelbaum's questions. It sounds like those questions were actually asked in an email before the meeting, didn't get the answers then, almost didn't get the answers before a vote was taken on this very, very concerning matter to Iowa, Des Moines citizens. So I just wanted to say that. Also, it's important to think about how much we allocate for this, because we're allocating, so over 60,000 was allocated for on-duty purposes, which was not clear to begin with. And the amount of money that you allocate towards this incentivizes cops to use deadly force. If you're providing cops with tons of ammunition to use for killing somebody, you're obviously kind of encouraging them to do that, in my opinion. Thirdly, Des Moines police officers have been trained in something very controversial called killology. Lieutenant Dave Grossman does training for cops around the country. He has been contracted by Des Moines Police, I think it was in 2016, 2018, to do training where his whole philosophy encourages cops to think less and to shoot more. So all this stuff is super concerning. Obviously, we're in the middle of civil unrest because of this, because of issues related to this. So it's a damn shame, I think, that Councilmember Gatto, I think it was, tried to rush a motion on this to vote on it before the citizens were heard. Thank you.
Nicole?
Hi. I would also like to echo some of the comments that a lot of the other speakers have said so far. I am deeply disturbed by most of this money being used for duty purposes, not training, as well as the possible use of this ammunition on reacting to, quote, civil disobedience. We've seen how chemical and other weapons are used on protesters by the Des Moines police. We've been seeing it these past months. We know what they'll do when reacting to civil disobedience, and I don't think that we should give them any more money for that kind of behavior. So I ask that the council votes no on this or just doesn't vote on this today. Thank you very much.
Next speaker.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
It might be helpful. I mean, there are a couple of things that I've heard that I think could maybe be clarified going forward, because I think the chief could maybe clarify the difference between duty and training. And I'm not sure where the civil disobedience piece came from, but I don't think that's accurate either. And I think we could clarify that for folks. Or the chief could explain that, or we can wait and let folks speak. But I just wanted to raise those 2 points. I don't think anything in the materials we had indicated that this was to be used against folks on civil disobedience. And I think the dollar amounts listed in the memo, the Metro Star, and this might be a clarification that I need, but my read of that is not the difference between duty and training. Those are just the areas of the budget where this comes from. And the other piece of this is that this is already money that was appropriated in our budget. This is not new money. This comes out of a line item in the budget that we've previously passed. So those, I think, clarifications, and the chief can correct those, I think would be helpful for folks.
Chief, do you want to make any quick comments on that? If you have that information available?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
So the money has already been appropriated in our budget. The Metro Star piece is the training and duty ammo. The rest is ammunition for training at the Des Moines Police Academy, as well as duty ammo. So we're required to certify twice a year, shoot qualification courses for that. Every employee that is sworn that carries a firearm. The duty ammo that we carry on duty has a shelf life, so that also has to be cycled through. That's what this money is for. It is not, there's nothing in here about civil unrest. The portion coming out of Metro Star, that's just coming from their section of the budget for the items that they use in their specific unit.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate all of our speakers, and we would hopefully everybody, if they could have some updated information. We certainly, of course, it's not as easy as if we were all at City Hall and we could raise our hands, but in the midst of a pandemic, that's probably not our wisest idea, but we appreciate everybody's comments, and it looks like we've got a couple more speakers. Hopefully, folks, we have some additional ideas here. Let's ask the next speaker.
Adam Callahan was still, or Callahan, non?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, Adam, I think we can.
Okay, hello. I just wanted to, very similar things to what the other people have been saying. It's surprising to me to see how it seems like we're rushed. And I would really, I mean, overall, I would say that we should vote no on this, that City Council should vote no on this. But more than that, I think we need just more time because we've heard it go back and forth within this meeting, even just within the public comments, back and forth between different members of council asking questions. The chief has talked multiple times just to try to explain this. So it really seems just dangerous to me that we're talking about basically $100,000, $990,000 being used for weapons that are lethal rounds, and we're not even sure about what that is. Or what that's being used for exactly. I can't imagine anything else that we'd be spending $99,000 on, and have this kind of just lack of information. And really, it seems like there's a push against us getting more information as well. So really just want to push back on that. And really also just want to question, why are we paying $99,000 to shoot people in the first place? Like, this being used well, we're paying money to be shooting people. And I just, it seems just disgraceful to me. Anyway, that's all. Thank you for your time.
Next speaker.
Support this. I urge everyone to vote no. I think that there is a clear need for transparency on where this is actually being allocated and how it's being allocated, because like they have mentioned, there's a lot of back and forth and misunderstanding potentially on where this ammunition is going and how it's being used, whether it's in the field or it's not. It's, from what I understand, it's already a budget that's for ammunition. But like people have said before, we really need to think about different ways that we can actually use this money to help impact the community, right? So our police and everyone on this council is really supposed to be the advocates for the community. What quality of life do we want the community to have? Is it the quality of life where police officers have as many bullets as they need? I don't think that should be the priority. And I really am trying to understand the agenda behind wanting to have more ammunition versus really hearing what the community is saying as far as allocating those sources to other things that people have mentioned in the midst of a pandemic. I mean, there's a lot of ways that these sources can be allocated that have already been mentioned. And I think that you guys already are aware of. I mean, you're all smart individuals that can understand that there is more need in the community, that these sources can be allocated to versus ammunition like that. I feel like that should be a no-brainer. And the fact that so many people are speaking out against this should be a clear indication that this should be a no, at least for today, until we can get some transparency, whether that's on the website that's easily accessible to all the people in the community and to everyone that would like to access it. And then just more clear description on what this ammunition is for. Is it for active shooter, bomb threats, or everything else? So I would really appreciate everyone voting no on this and getting more transparency on this whole issue. Thank you.
Next speaker.
Can't get that. Matthew Bruce.
Council, I would like to just again echo and support in solidarity with everyone that has spoken. I think it's time that the Des Moines City Council, the Des Moines Police Department start listening to the people. From what I can tell, these are a lot of young people, and they are the future of Des Moines. We do not need more ammunition. We do not need more ammunition to be used against people that are practicing their right to civil disobedience. There is no logic. We need to look at how we're spending our tax dollars. And I'm a lifelong resident of Des Moines, and I'm 56 years old. I've paid a lot of taxes. So I urge the council to be more thoughtful, to be more considerate, to be more open-minded, to be better listeners to what the people are saying. Thank you.
Next speaker.
Jennifer?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
I just want to reiterate what everyone else said. I've been contacting the city council, the city manager, and the mayor for about 2 months now, and no one can give me a positive answer about the laws that even regulate DMPD right now. Most of those people can't even return an email or phone call, so I'm concerned about that. Despite the police getting most of our tax dollars, Des Moines is still one of the most dangerous cities in America. DMPD has also been on top 10 lists this year of most violent police departments in America. We're a pretty small city, so that's a feat for sure. I think the city council has the chance right now to hold DMPD accountable, and I'm wondering if they will take that opportunity. I encourage you guys to please not vote on this today and just take some more time and think about really what our priorities are and how we can make this city healthy for everyone. Thank you.
Next speaker.
Is it okay?
MK Anderson?
Hi, can you all hear me?
Yes.
I would also like to echo what everyone before me has said. I honestly, I just think that this is preposterous. You know, we as society, we live in a town, and as part of that, we pay our tax dollars to you, and for that, in exchange, we are supposed to get public services and public goods, and that has historically meant the police department, city council, and whatever. And the purpose of that is for the community to have values and the leadership to follow what the community needs and make sure that they are providing everything that the community needs. And right now, we are trying to tell you what we need, and you are not listening. And as we have seen in all of these protests, the police are the agitators. The police are the ones that are taking this from a regular protest and just First Amendment, freedom of speech, just demonstration, and agitating it and making it a dangerous situation. It is not the demonstrators. And I don't understand how we can even be asking if we can spend this much money on bullets. And so let's just break it down for a second. $90,000, $1 a bullet, that's way more than it'll ever probably cost. That's 90,000 potential lives gone. Say it takes 2. That's 45,000 potential lives gone. Please vote no. This is insane. Please vote no and really hear what we're trying to say. And if you truly do want a better Des Moines, and if you want to stop the brain drain from Iowa, and if you want what you say you want, and if the city truly does mean that and stick to their values, then you need to do that, and you need to provide that kind of community for us. Please vote no. Thank you.
Dan Bozen?
Next.
Hello?
Yes, please.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. Well, I would just like to first echo and uplift everything that's already been said by every other young person in this meeting today. I urge City Council not to spend this spending budget to DMPD. The budget could be used to help our own community during a pandemic. As Jalen said earlier, it could provide 130 families with rent for the time being, or at least help them not be evicted in this time. Also, we've seen over the last few months that DMPD has absolutely zero regard for their own citizens, i.e. using chemical weapons at the Capitol on protesters, rubber bullets, everything under the sun. I think that they will gladly take advantage of the funding to their ammunition, and I think the city council should really take advantage of this moment and how many young people are coming into this Zoom call and speaking, what they want, speaking the things that they think needs to, happen and needs to benefit our community. Thank you.
Freda?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I echo everything that's already been said. And I also just want to call out Dana real quick because he said some of this money, we need it because bullets expire, right? So we need to replace those. I don't know if city council is aware, but if you're storing ammunition correctly, it has a shelf life of up to 10 to 20 years. Military ammo lasts 50 years. So if y'all are giving him hundreds of thousands of dollars, if this is the lowest budget for this in a while, how many bullets are DMPD shooting every year that they need this much money to replace them? Or what does that warehouse look like that's full of our taxpayer money paying for all these bullets? This is just fucking ridiculous. And please vote no.
LaShawn? LaShawn?
Hello?
Yes, you're on.
I just want to say the DMPD is very irresponsible and they do nothing but harass Black people and homeless people around the city. And all you niggas suck, including the DMPD and the city council. Fuck you niggas, bye.
What was that? Christopher Morris?
Hi, thank you very much for your time. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I appreciate your time and I appreciate you taking an opportunity to listen to a lot of my peers as we share our concerns about this line item that's being spent. Just wanted to chime in to make sure that you guys knew that there was a lot of people, would like to be counted amongst them, that would encourage you to vote no on this item. All of the issues that I would have brought up have already been brought up on my peers, so I will yield the remainder of my time and just emphasize that I support everything that has been said thus far, except for perhaps maybe the swearing. Thanks.
Caitlin? I can't open your mic because you have an older Zoom and it says it will promote you to panelist. Can you unmute yourself? Carter?
Hi, I would just like to emphasize what everyone else has said previously. I think it's very important that Des Moines does not fund their police state any further. And you don't need to look hard to find out where other entities within the city need resources. Thank you.
All right, I want to thank everybody for speaking on that. Mr. Gatto, you had a motion. Do you want to make a quick comment?
Sure, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate listening to everyone's comments. There was a couple of them that were concerning to me. We talked about how many times we've had an active shooter or something like that. Well, it's good that we've never had an active shooter in our city, and that hasn't happened. Iowa law enforcement agency requires 40 hours of training per year. Des Moines PD requires 80 hours.
Well, where's the training?
Twice a year. I fully support this motion. I want our police department to train. And
Fuck you, Joe Gatto.
Okay.
Well, that's
All
nice.
right, we need to
That's
shut
nice
off
that I
the
listen to
attendee.
every one of you guys, and then that's what I get. You're not always going to agree with everything that I have to say, but
And that's fine. You're still a
is a
bitch.
problem.
Signing literally a murder of people.
Shut the fuck up,
That's
Joe
what you're
Gatto.
doing.
Oh my god.
This is what you're doing.
Okay.
Ward 4 does not support Joe Gatto.
Mayor, there's a
Everyone
motion on the.
Joe,
No.
you have the floor.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's fine, Kay. Mayor, there's a motion on the table. You know what? Let's vote. And you know what? If it gets voted down, then it gets voted down. But at this point in time, I'm willing to vote on this item, and I'm willing to get cussed out by every single person. But obviously, there's a larger constituent out there that believe that our police department should be trained and trained properly.
Because they're not.
I would just like to add
No. If people are concerned, why aren't they at this meeting?
bad if we had an active
Okay.
shooter.
Joe, have you
Everybody
been
not
to
all
these
give it.
protests? Have you seen this
People
proper
are all
training you're
You need
talking
to
about?
be able to-
No one has spoken in support of this. No one has spoken in support of
Not
this.
a single person who supports this.
There's not a single person who supports it.
Dozens of people just said don't.
Right, where's this?
Saying do not support this.
You so
There, I have control of it. Josh?
Josh, did you want to make a comment?
Thanks, Kay.
Thanks.
Well, I have a couple other questions, but I do want to put this in context. I do think that it is appropriate for us to be spending money on properly training our police officers. As long as we have officers on the street who have firearms, they need to be trained to use them safely. And this is part of that training. I think we can ask questions about how much time we're spending on firearm training versus training of other aspects. But I think firearm training is and will continue to be an important part of making sure we have a safe and effective police force. So that piece, I get it. I would like to understand, and I think the questions and the answers to my questions were very helpful. And I think it can be reasonable to need the amount of ammunition, particularly given the number of officers that we have, and if they all are being certified twice a year, I think, and I would like to know from the chief, but I think the typical certification requires literally hundreds of rounds as part of that certification. And so if you just sort of work backward in terms of the number of officers we have, each getting certified twice a year, 400,000 rounds of ammunition, I think can fit within that. I do think it's appropriate for us as a council to have a broader conversation about training hours and how much is spent on firearm training versus de-escalation training versus other types of training. But that's not what this particular item is. So I'm prepared to move forward if I could get a little more context on those two pieces. That would be helpful for me.
Joe, looks like your mic's open.
Mayor, there's a motion on the table.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure where else we need to go with this. We can vote.
Have
It can
someone, one person who
It
wanted to
can
talk.
get voted. It can get voted down. It cannot pass. At this point in time, I think that we just need to vote.
Okay.
Excuse me.
I think you should serve your constituents and
Oh, I'm serving my constituents, and I'm tired of having a one-on-one dialogue with all these people. Okay, they've got to speak. We all listen.
Fuck you, nigga.
Constituents. What do you mean?
A single person said that they did not.
Apologize to.
not a single person supported this, and you're still gonna vote.
Not a single person on this call supported it, but there's plenty of my constituents.
You don't
that
support your own.
Find them.
That's why there's nothing but silence, because you ain't got nothing to say.
Oh, I have plenty to say. You people, you're
Then
just
speak
not,
your mind.
You're just not going to bully me into some vote. That is
Okay.
inconsistent.
Coming from the
we
man
need
who
to-
said you people.
Joe Gatto is a racist.
Choose your words politely, Joe.
Yeah.
Do we need to, Kay, do we need to start the meeting over so that we can?
Mute. I'm trying to mute.
Joe Gatto is a racist. He has a picture of Trump.
You need to listen to your city.
The way that you react to this stuff.
Hi, thank you.
Okay, panelists should be able to unmute themselves.
Hello.
No.
I'm sorry.
I think we maybe need to recess for 5 minutes and have everyone to work out the technology issues.
We don't
care about your community.
You don't even know how to de-escalate a situation. How do you expect cops to de-escalate a situation?
Hello.
Wow.
You
Joe
serve the
Gatto has literally been hot.
Joe Gatto has Dusty. You got Dusty ass.
You're not listening to your constituents if you're.
you serve the most diverse ward, and
It's
this is
crazy you can't listen to your wins. Bitch ass.
Really good tries. Do not eat at Baradas. It's Baradas is owned by.
Okay, we're going to need to probably shut this meeting
Yeah.
down.
Justice for Abdi.
Yeah, because I can't get them all.
Shut it down. I'm not gonna.
Shut it down.
Shut
Shut it down.
If we don't get it, shut it down.
And Mayor?
What?
Buck County too.
I would really appreciate it.
Can we make a motion to recess and reconvene in 5 minutes on the same Zoom line?
I say nay.
Yeah.
I say you
All in favor,
they're
say
too scared to hear.
Aye.
aye. Any
Okay, Black
opposed?
Lives Matter.
Defund
Literally-
DMPD.
Y'all be racist.
on DMPD.
Defund DMPD.